From the Prime Minister of Singapore saying that airlines and hotels are dead right now. How are you being impacted by the coronavirus outbreak? I mean, in terms of occupancy rates, what are you looking at?
Well, good morning, Linda. Good morning, Yvonne. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, obviously we're heavily impacted. I mean, we have seen the development starting in China and with our 11 mainland hotels late January, early February, and then basically the impact traveled around the world, where we have 22 hotels in 4 continents, and now they're basically all significantly impacted and are at low single-digit occupancy levels. The good news is that we see some early signs of recovery from our Chinese hotels, where, you know, as my the gentleman that was on before me said, that, you know, when you go through that, you see some first glimmers of hope in terms of normality returning.
Are you confident that normality is back? I mean, we're already hearing from the U.S. intelligence that perhaps China is not revealing the true extent of the damage from the coronavirus.
Well, look, only what I can judge is when I talk to my colleagues in China and see that basically, you know, I mean, the life returns back. And I think the action that have been taken by the government very early on to flatten the curve have proven successful. And so this is what I see. And I have quite some hope that this will return. We have to make sure that there is no second wave. That's very clear.
When do you expect people to travel again? I mean, once we do see these travel restrictions lifted, I feel like it's still going to take some time for people to feel comfortable flying and traveling again. Do you have some sort of timeline now, Stefan?
Look, we're putting our first, basically support packages in place for domestic travel, because to boost domestic travel is the most important piece right now. I mean, borders are still closed. We expect that starting right now in China. We hope that the border between mainland China and Hong Kong opens up first week of May, and that will have a positive impact on the Hong Kong hotel occupancy as well.
And you mentioned about the China outbound. I feel like people are expecting that this China consumer is going to lead this recovery right now. Do you see it that way, and how are you going to capture that opportunity?
Well, we absolutely see it that way, and this is why we are currently, and obviously that's the main difference for us, being exposed to basically the cycle in all continents where it has hit, is that we see these early, signs from the Chinese travelers and the desire to go back. And look, travel has a significant impact not only on us as a hospitality industry, but as you mentioned, on the airlines, but also on other economic players, because you want the business travel going, and you need to have starting those interactions again.
Stefan, when the dust finally settles, I mean, how do you expect the hotel industry to look like? And having said that, what have been some of the challenges that your company has been facing in overcoming the spread?
Look, I think as events like 9/11 have changed patterns in terms of travel, where before 9/11 we looked at hurdle-less travel through airports, and after 9/11 we obviously accepted that there are certain different security measures. I think that will be changes as well that we're going to see in terms of maybe prevention, in terms of cleanliness and all those kind of things. The things that I have seen that positively not surprised me, but made an impact, was how some governments responded quickly and rose to the occasion and making sure that employment stays in place. I mean, we've seen positive signs there in the UK and in Australia and in Singapore. Where I have yet to see some action is actually from the Hong Kong government to support the employment in our industry.
Yeah, you mentioned about Hong Kong. Can you give us a little bit more about the hotel occupancy rates in the city right now? And do you think the new social distancing rules are just going to make things worse?
Well, the new social distancing rules obviously made it very much more impactful for the F&B part that was still somehow the food and beverage, the restaurant businesses that were still, operating even at lower levels after the first week of February, and they are now also being much more impacted right now. And the occupancy rates are in low single digits, and that's across the board.